is our six. Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen. I'd like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people, the traditional custodians of this land, pay respect to elders both past and present, and extend that respect to other community members. In accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice, this Council meeting is being recorded and placed on Council's webpage for public information. All present at the meeting are reminded that by speaking, you are agreeing to your view and comments being recorded in public. So I'd like to remind councillors and staff during all of our discussions and deliberations, we should be respectful and mindful of others present. We should at all times listen without interrupting and use words that do not personalise an individual, nor should they be offensive in any way. Whilst discussion, debate and an open mind is encouraged, please let us all keep our discussion productive, civil and inclusive. Being shy of accepting liabilities for any defamatory or offensive gestures during this council meeting. I swear that I'll undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of Junee and the Junee Shire Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions powers and authority and discretion vested in me in the last Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability. I don't think we have any apologies. No, you're all here. We'll go straight into a presentation from Mr. Andrew Cockett, a friend of ours. Andrew, welcome to the meeting tonight. And
very much appreciated. The podium. Will I be able to just plug in? Thanks, Mayor Carl, James, and councillors. Thanks for the opportunity to have a chat with you. My name is Andrew Cottrell. I'm the Regional Development and Engagement Manager for National Broadband Network. Our role is to uplift digital capability of regional and rural areas. I look after the Riverina Murray region, obviously. There's about 21 local government areas in that region. I'm based just north of Albury, but I look after the Riverina Murray right over as far as Wentworth Council, as far north as Blantyre and obviously Albury, Wagga, Deniliquin being those major cities and centres. My role is to help develop connectivity in the region. That's not just physical connectivity, how people access broadband, but it's also how people use technology and assisting our customer base to best use the internet, both for to use it safely, and also the capacity to actually use the internet without being scammed, etc., but to get the best out of it. There's been quite a dramatic trend in connectivity, digital connectivity in Australia, and particularly focused in regional areas. The demand for higher speed broadband is growing and growing quite rapidly. Why is it important? Typically in a regional area, digital connectivity drives economic growth. It drives jobs. It helps with education, healthcare, emergency services. People rely on dependable internet, and more faster internet is required. As I said, the demand is growing quite dramatically. And these days, when people invest in a regional community with a business or residential investment, they're looking at connectivity as one of the key components. We've seen that trend of increasing demand for higher speed services coming through over the last couple of years, and really dramatically increasing in recent years. Just to give you an idea, over the last 10 years, the demand for high-speed broadband has grown significantly too. The average download speed 10 years ago was 14 megabits per second. This chart says it's 54. It's currently over 135 megabits per second. This slide slightly outdated. Data consumption has gone up tenfold. Devices per household. Now there are more than 22 devices in every household that are connected to the internet. So old internet speed, 25 megabits, 50 megabits per second download speeds just no longer cut it when you've got 20 or more devices connected to your home internet. Broadband is more and more important. Artificial intelligence is starting to become a much more higher demand on the networks, and also subscription services like Netflix. People don't want to watch TV on free-to-air when it's on. They want to watch things when they want to watch them. These days, streaming movies, streaming internet, streaming television services is more and more critical. Looking at the download demand on the network, this is a little bit hard to read, I'm sorry, but where we are right now, we're probably sitting somewhere around 700 gigabytes of data per month. We would expect that to grow from 2027 to 2029 to 2030, more than double. So we need to actually make sure we're ahead of that curve. We need to make sure that we're providing higher capacity broadband in the regions. And to that end, we've got a number of programs that are going through at the moment and well advanced that are taking connectivity up to those much higher speeds. Just to explain sorry, I've gone the wrong way there. The three types of technologies, well, the different types of technologies that make up the NBN, National Broadband Network. We're the wholesale provider of broadband. We don't sell services. We develop the services, develop the products, and they're sold to customers via retail service providers like the telcos, Telco, Optus, Aussie Broadband, Telstra, those sorts of things. The network's made up of three separate physical components. There's the in-the-ground network. We call that the fixed line network. That's where there are cables in the ground. They can be made up of three different types of technologies. Fibre to the premises, that's where fibre goes all the way to the house. That's the best technology we can do. That is unlimited in its capacity. At the moment, that's delivering more than 2 gigabits per second, but it could go exponentially faster than that with just new technology plugged on the end of it. Fibre to the premises is ideal. Fibre to the curb is where we have fibre to a pit in the street to outside your house, maybe 50 metres of copper to bring it into the house. That's limited to perhaps about 100 megabits per second. And then fibre to the node, which is fibre to one of those boxes that you might see on the footpath, possibly up to 800 metres of copper. That's restricted to potentially about 75 megabits per second. So they're the three types of technologies that are in the fixed line in the ground network. Then over the top of that, we have a fixed wireless network. That's where there's a tower. In Junee, that tower is out near the water towers. It's the monopole out near the high coming from Wagga. That provides technology to premises outside of the fixed line network to a range of about 29 kilometres. Previously, a year ago, that was 14 kilometres. We've recently upgraded that network. I'll talk a little bit more about that and I'll show you some maps. And then outside of that, we have a satellite network that provides broadband to everywhere else that's not covered by fixed line or fixed wireless. That covers all of Australia. As I said, we've got a program at the moment that is updating premises. So we're connecting fibre to more premises. We want to get rid of all of the copper out of the network. That's the aim, and we're well advanced with that in Junee and right across the region. I'll show you some maps that talk about exactly where that works at the moment. These are some statistics about how many premises have been upgraded. They're not really that important, but it's more important to see what the actual connectivity is like. So we're extending that fibre program. We're on track to have it's more than 90% of the premises in Australia are now ready to connect to fibre. But for you, it's more important about what does that mean here locally. As I said, I'll show you some maps. We've also had some additional support from the federal government to get the remaining 622,000, roughly half of which were in regional Australian premises, all off copper. That's the program we're working through at the moment in our region. We've also, as I said, upgraded the fixed wireless network, doubled the range. That brought about another 345,000 square kilometres of footprint into the network. Fixed wireless to provide home broadband now reaches from previously 14 kilometres out to 29 kilometres range, geographically terrain dependent, obviously. We've more than quadrupled the speed on that. That network now operates at fibre-like speeds of 400 megabits per second. And we've increased the performance of that to over 100 megabits per second average download. So it's a really much more capable network. We've upgraded our satellite network. Our satellites, we have 2 satellites that are 35,000 kilometres up in the sky. They provide, as I said, to all of Australia that's not covered by the fixed network. But there's a problem with those satellites in that the distance, 35,000 kilometres, takes a second for a signal to get up and back. So if you're trying to use perhaps a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting, you'll find that there's a second delay in the satellite network if you're connected on a satellite service. That effectively means you can be talking and someone else hasn't heard you yet, so you tend to get out of sync a little bit. They're fine for streaming, but they're not the best for interactive applications like Zoom or Teams meetings. We know that technology is being outdated. It's being surpassed by what's called low Earth orbit satellites. So you would have probably heard of Starlink. We have signed an agreement with another competitor to Starlink for a new network that's going up. It's called Amazon Leo. That will be delivered to Australia from June this year. And we'll migrate all of our satellite customers off of the old Sky Muster network onto this new Amazon Leo network from June, but probably rolling out through into 2027 before we get all of those migrated across. That network is going to be equivalent of Starlink in terms of speed, so 200 to 300 megabits per second. NBN will install the hardware. There'll be no cost to hardware to the users, and the pricing will be this what you would pay if you're connected to the fixed line network or the wireless network. So there'll be pricing parity. There'll be no cost of hardware. NBN will maintain and install the network. So that takes away any disadvantage to original customers. In terms of the speeds, from 14th September last year, with the view that this demand for higher speeds is growing and growing and growing, NBN bequeathed a new higher speed regimen on all of our fixed line networks. So anyone who's connected to fibre, if you're buying a 100 meg plan, NBN is providing 500 megabits download. If you're buying a 250 megabit plan, NBN is providing 750 megabits. If you're buying a 500 plus plan, NBN is providing 1,000 megabits. So it's effectively probably dropped the price very significantly and up the speeds of connectivity. Anyone who connects to fibre can now get those plans. So instead of the slowest plan being 100, it's now 500. And the prices remain the same. So that's quite a dramatic change and really an incentive, an impetus to move people to fibre. And we're seeing that happen. The average speeds in Australia are really growing quite dramatically. So let's talk about the wireless upgrade. This is Junee local government area, and you'll see I've just put tags there because it's a little bit hard to read, but you'll see the pinky colours are where our fixed wireless network was pre the expansion. This is what it looks like after the expansion. So you can see that range has quite dramatically increased where there's not hills in the way. The challenges here being that Bethungra, Illabo, Wanabadgery are outside of the footprint of that network. They will become LEO satellite communities. So when we switch on that LEO satellite, they'll move to the LEO satellite and have their services via that technology. Everyone else who's in those green shaded areas will have the high-speed fixed wireless technology. So there's the old coverage versus the new coverage for our high-speed wireless network. The red dots here represent premises. That's old Junee, so they're all on high-speed fixed wireless. They can all upgrade to those 400 megabits plans now. Ilvo, you can see Ilvo designated as satellite premises, so that means that they can be connected to the SkyMaster satellite now at about 120 megabits per second. They can upgrade to the high-speed LEO network once that's fired up later this year or into 2027. Pathungra, again, is a satellite network, so satellite community, as well as Wantabadgery. I just wanted to show you roughly the number of premises. I did, part of my role is to look to partner with local government, state government and federal government where there might be some available funds. I did put forward a proposal to have a tower built, I think it's Mount Yolandra, is it?
Yeah.
There's a TV tower there. It didn't make the cut in terms of the number of premises that it could potentially uplift. We did have some funding, successfully funded about 11 base stations in my region. When I say base stations, fixed wireless towers in my region. Through the New South Wales Government Gig State program. I've got a couple through Regional Connectivity, a federal government program, and 3 towers down in the Murray River Council, and 2 up Downs area through the Cross Border Commissioners Fund. So we're constantly looking where there might be some potential funding. We're never seeking money from local government. We know that that's not your main focus. So wherever we can see NBN contributing and federal or state government contributing, we put forward submissions. So I was unsuccessful with that one, but now with this new LEO network coming in, that's not going to be really a need. The high-speed connectivity will be available everywhere. If you're not at the fixed line or the fixed wireless network, you'll be able to get that through the LEO network. So what does it look like in Junee itself? So this is a little bit hard to read, but this is Junee Township. The yellow dots are already designated fibre to the premises, so all of those can now connect to high-speed fibre. The purple dots are fibre to the node, but you can see a lot of yellows scattered in amongst that. That's because those premises are already upgrading to fibre, have already upgraded to fibre. The red dots are fixed wireless who are already now able to upgrade to the 400 megabits. When I present here, maybe 12, 14 months ago to council, we had some big chunks of Junee, particularly the CBD, that were not ready or in the plan to convert to fibre. You can see now that all of those purple areas, except for 2 little patches, so you can't see my mouse there, but you can see where the high school is. That area is due to commence construction in September, and there's a couple of premises near where the old Junee pub is, sort of in those old shops over there that are still yet to be built, which will be built in September this year. But otherwise, the rest of the town, the rest of the built-up area, can now all upgrade to NBN fibre. There's no cost to upgrade. You just need to upgrade. You need to be on a 100 megabit plan or above. So we're urging people to have a look at check their address. There's an NBN website, which is just nbnco.com.au. Check their address and they can get guidance on what they can upgrade to. I'll show you if you want to check that, I'll show you a QR code that straight to that. But to check that you can actually upgrade the services right now. And as I said, there's no cost to do that. It's a much more reliable, uses less energy, much more resilient technology, and really you can go up and down, up and up and up in speeds that you need. Just in terms of the connectivity in the town itself. Now, this is very hard to read, I'm sorry, but this is ready to connect versus connected via different technologies. So the line with the pale blue, the top one is satellite. So ready to connect, I'll read these out. There's 377 premises in your local government area that are ready to connect. Of that, there are 60 connected. In the satellite footprint, that's quite normal. Usually about 20% of people would connect in the satellite technology. A lot of people who live remotely will use their mobile phone for their home broadband or use the mobile network for home broadband. A lot of people will have gone and used Starlink because of the higher speeds and the less latency. But I think a lot of those will migrate back when we turn on this new Amazon Leo network. It'll be cheaper, it'll be faster, it'll be no ownership of hardware for the customer, and much more easy to maintain. So I expect that will come up once we activate this new network. Fibre to the premises, the connected, there's total of 792 now ready to connect. There's 215 connected. That's about 27%. I would expect that should be in the 90%, but that's because we're flipping from fibre to the node to fibre to the premise. So, and a lot of those will be new developments where the premises may not yet be built. That will increase as people become aware that fibre is available. Fixed wireless is currently 741 premises, and about half, 53%, are connected. Again, because we've expanded that area, doubled that area of footprint, of coverage, that's an awareness thing. So we're just going to get that message out that high speeds are available, so you can upgrade. Again, just all you have to do is upgrade your plan, and NBN will install that gear free of charge. And fibre to the node, there's currently 959, and 902 of those are connected, 94%. That's what we expect. That will all turn to fibre as people are aware that they can upgrade to fibre. And that will be what we expect to see in terms of the connections in the junior local government area. So one thing I would ask council to do is just if I provide some, perhaps I can provide some information, just say to people, check your address. Fibre upgrades have recently been made available in June. Check your address to see if you can upgrade. There's no obligation to buy, no obligation to sell from our side. It's really just raise awareness. This slide talks about digital inclusion, and I talked about people's ability to use the internet. This rates 3 different scores and adds them up. It's an annual survey. It's not performed by NBN. It's performed by it's one of the universities, RMIT, I think, and Telstra sponsor it, but it's really people's ability. So it's the 3 areas. In the orangey colour there, the column is access. That's the access to technology. That's a comparison of by local government area. Do people have availability of all of the different types of technologies and the latest technologies? The middle one, the purpley colour one, is affordability, and that's a score by local government area, and that could be related to socio-economic issues or people's ability to pay for the internet. And the brown one on the right-hand side is their ability to use the internet. Now, June scores pretty well here. The things that usually drag down regional communities are aged population, Indigenous populations with less access to education, people who use mobile phones as their only source of connectivity, English as a second language, those sorts of things. But your proximity, I guess, to major cities like Wagga and being a very forward-thinking town yourselves, it seems that you're scoring very highly there in terms of population, location, and the average score is not too far off Griffiths, Wagga and Albury in terms of the overall digital inclusion and ability. My team, Michael Palmer and myself, run sessions with libraries and in partnership with councils. We don't charge for that, but we're running the internet for oldies or scams awareness for school students, those sorts of things. So we're quite regularly in town, just setting up down the street, just talking to people, raising awareness of what connectivity is available, how to use it, how to stay safe from scams. Regional Australia was just a really low-hanging fruit for scammers. It's actually started to trend down now, but it was really peaked about 2 years ago where scammers were just taking advantage of regional trustworthiness, I suppose, for people who and scamming people with largely usually with large bank transactions, if they're buying and selling properties or machinery or those sorts of things, changing bank account details, hacking emails and sorts. It seems that everyone's clamped down on that. It's a lot better, but it's still something to be very aware of. So I guess how can we work with you? My role is to represent the area into NBN. So I work where I can see opportunities, or perhaps, like for example, we looked at that fibre awareness is an issue and the fixed wireless awareness. So we'll start to try and run some campaigns to build that up to let people know they can connect. Obviously pushing the company to invest in those fibre upgrades, which we've just about got topped off for GD now. Just raising awareness, education, opportunities like smart farming, things we work with New South Wales farmers and farming organisations and that, and lifting that. I think we've got a presentation coming here with New South Wales farmers on digital connectivity to try and assist farmers in getting the best out of technology. And lastly, that's the QR code. If you use your device, you can scan that code. It'll take you to the NBN, check your address website, and it will tell you whether you can connect to a higher, better technology. And it will also link you to all of the people you can buy that from, and also you can look at all their prices and see what connectivity is available. So look, that's all I had to present, Mayor Bob. We had a big presentation to yourself and I think Lloyd there at Rerock. Yeah. And I asked for the opportunity just to give you an update here because I can see that we're well advanced with this fibre upgrade program and sure everyone's connected. And I talked to lots of businesses in the town, the chocolate factory, and some new developments going on down with the railway line that we're working to get some fibre in there. So it's just it's a great community. Good to see it going ahead, and look forward to continuing this fibre upgrade. And I'll answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Andrew, and it's great to see that I can finally get it. I will soon.
Yes.
It's good. Councillors, questions for Andrew?
Councillor
Carter?
Thank you for your presentation. You mentioned before about the 700 pins points or whatever. What does that mean in layman's terms?
700. So I'm not sure which part I was talking about. This
Earlier on in that graph going up the hill with
gigabytes per month. So that's how much each consumer, each connection consumes in terms of data volume. So more and more volume of data is being used up every month per premise, and it's growing and growing because people are using more devices. These days, vacuum cleaners are connected and dishwashers, but mainly mobile phones are connected to the home internet. TV sets are connected, iPads, those sorts of things, computers, laptops, all of those connected, and they're all using data concurrently. So the volume of data that's going through the network keeps breaking new records. Like month by month, it breaks new records. And we need to make sure that the network, the whole network, as well as each individual connection, have capacity to use that, to deliver that sort of data capacity without throttling it or slowing it down. So that's why you can see it just more than doubling in the next few years, because applications and technology are demanding more and more data all the time.
Yep. Thank you. And the last one is basically, I suppose, I've got a landline, like a fixed phone, NBN into it.
Yeah.
If I cancel the landline, does it affect?
Well, again, depending on the provider, I suspect that you get the landline through someone like Telstra, and they provide your NBN as well. If we put fibre into the premise and you order it from Telstra, they'll also provide the home phone line over the fibre, so that will also deliver the home phone line. We'll get rid of the copper altogether, but any other provider can also provide a phone line. So
I don't want to have
if you don't want to have the phone line, it'll be cheap.
Maybe.
Yeah. So essentially, a lot of people these days don't have a home phone line because they just use a mobile line. And it's just cheaper. If you buy a fibre connection with a landline, it might cost you, $110 a month or something. Whereas if you just buy the internet, it might cost you $80. So you actually save a bit of money by not having the landline as well.
Yeah, no, I realise that. You just asked a good question, you know.
Yeah.
Do I lose that and then connection?
It just gets your man. Yeah, you don't need to have a phone unless that's something that you feel you need to have.
Thank you, Steve.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Councillor Street. In the last year or so, we've had a lot of people laying NBN cable in duty, including across private property, I might add.
Mm.
And I was wondering whether there's much more of that cable laying to be done in town.
There will definitely be a lot more to be done, but more in distributing it from the network that's been prepared for fibre out to the premises. So
Okay.
each time we put a fibre to the premises in, the NBN fibre will be in the street, possibly where the node used to be, but it'll be extended further out. And we'll need to run fibre from the footpath to the house. Usually that goes through the conduit where the copper used to go, where the old telephone line used to go. There are occasions where there might not be a conduit there. We might have to drill that in or trench it in.
Right.
But it won't be major fibre runs around that will be disrupting footpaths and things. It's mainly just from where the fibre is distributed out into the regional township to the house.
So a couple of other questions. I think you might have given us the answer. I was wondering, how do I know what I have and how do I know what I can have? You're telling me this www.nbn.com.au.
Yes.
Will answer those questions.
It will answer how you currently connected and what you can connect to. So if you put your address in, it would say.
And finally,
Yep.
how do we know the price is right with all these retailers trying to sell?
Yes. So that website, when you get to your address,
Yeah.
it'll say, congratulations, you can now upgrade to fibre to the premises.
Yeah.
It will then say, there's a button that'll say speak to a provider. You just click that button and it'll give you the full list of retail service providers who can sell the service.
With their prices?
Plus their prices. So if you just click into all those, you can go through and say, oh, this one's only $80, and it's worth pricing around because there are quite significant differences in price. So that'll tell you their prices, and there's no need to speak to anyone or identify that you're interested in getting a service and get a hassle, because this is basically essentially NBN's just got all links to all their websites and you can see their prices without an obligation to buy.
And you surprised me when you said 20 units connected per household. When I thought about it, I thought,
Yeah, I think the same thing. I just
like 5 of which are my grandson, with all the various things he carries around.
when you think about this different laptops,
His
computers,
PlayStation,
iPads,
iPads,
vacuum cleaners, air conditioning, solar power, cars. There's so many things now. It's actually just 24 now. So but look, the technology's there now. I would go and have a look at your premises, see what can be upgraded. I'll send something. Maybe you can go out in a newsletter or something just to say. And I'll also put something out to the local news, just let them know that the fibre has been upgraded. And
how are the businesses going? Is there a good uptake?
Yeah, very strong. There are some specific business plans. I didn't talk about those, but businesses typically need a bit more upload speed. For example, if you're hosting your own website with your file server on the premises, anyone who's accessing your data has to use your uplink, which is normally much lower. Typically, an internet is 100 megs down and 20 up, whereas business plans might be 250 down, 100 up, or 500 down, 250 up, so that there's a much higher uplink. And they're really competitive price plans. It's very good for businesses. And again, it's just an awareness thing. These are out there, but we don't sell it, so we can't really push it on people. But just to raise people's awareness and say, hey, there's some new stuff available. Have a look what you can get and make your mind up.
Good information, get out there.
Yeah,
Thank you
definitely.
very much.
Yeah. Well, thanks, councillors. Thanks.
Thank you.
I
Always
appreciate
a
it.
pleasure having you out here and with good news and stuff. So
Yeah, it is good. And I hope I'll catch up with a few of you when we come up. I think it might be May we're coming back for some farmers meetings to try and talk about digital connectivity for so yeah, I'm sure we'll talk to people about that as well. But thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate the chance to catch up and forward to speaking to you again in the future. Good on you. Thanks.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's very light. Move on to confirmation of minutes, the ordinary meeting of 16 December 2025. Someone prepared this, Councillor Halliburton and Councillor Hassan. All those in agreement? Say yes. Thank you. Anyone against? Any business arising? And around the table? Very good. Thank you. Right, now, declarations of interest. Have one declaration of interest in writing for item 6. Councillor Ingrid Iding has a non-pecuniary significant conflict, and the reason for that is that the applicants are relations, in-laws in fact. Thank you, Councillor Iding. Are there any further declarations come forward? No. Thank you. Mayor, on minute, should be an extensive one. In 2 months, it's not. Very good. I will like to mention Australia Day. A particularly big thank you to the staff. Thank you, Lloyd, for all your hard work there, and to Sam and Emma. Really good Australia Day. I think everybody was impressed by our ambassador. Which is really good ambassador this time around, and they've all been pretty good, but this was just incredible. And he's even made contact that he wants to come back here, to high schools, to other places. So he was very impressed with our town and the people. So that's a big pat on the back for us, I think.
Not to stay.
Yeah, please.
Through Mr. Mayor. Yeah, he has reached out. One thing he has been doing for us, he's been on the tourism trail for us. So apparently has a regular segment with Ben Fordham on the radio. So it's been spruiking to me somewhat, which has been fantastic. And like Mr. Mayor said, hopefully he'll be out here shortly, but he has reached out. He does have a program, a crime prevention program that it's sort of a role play sort of program. And he's looking to roll it out here. So hopefully we'll keep talking with him about what we can do.
Thank you. That's really encouraging. We look forward to that. The only thing other thing I did note was Inland Rail seemed to have commenced construction out on the Stock and Bingle line. Some great work there. I hope it was actually to get it all through.
It's interesting work at this stage.
Interesting. I think I want to expand on that.
Probably the fact that we won't go felling trees and they're preserving of a habitat. Interesting.
Okay.
I'll just leave it at that. Interesting is a very interesting word.
I must say, running around tapping all the trees to see if there are any animals inside it before they got it there.
Well, that's good.
That's going to burn the dim, they're going to
Would chip it and use it themselves.
well, I haven't said where we're going to use it yet.
Right. Let's keep an eye on that. And also our respects go out to the McCarthy family.
Yes, very sad.
Leo has finally passed on, which is very sad. Stalwarts of humanity. If you missed that, thank you. Could I just have a mover executive, please, to accept that presentation from Andrew Cockles, and move it from Councillor Asmus and Councillor Carr. Thank you. All those in favour? Against? Moved. Get manager. To the general manager's report. Item number 2, council investments and bank balances. there is a recommendation there, so I'm prepared to move that recommendation. Councillor Knight, thank you. Second, please. Councillor Matt Austin, thank you. Any discussion, councillors? Anything to raise? General Manager, anything to speak to?
Mr. Mayor.
All right, put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Quarterly investors, council's investments and the bank balances, item number 3. The recommendation there, so I'm prepared to move those. Thanks, Councillor Bridget Austin and Councillor Knight. Right, so discussion, councillors. General Manager, anything?
No, Mr. Mayor, it's just to the end of January, as the report indicates.
In that case, put the motion. All those in favour, please. Any against? Carried. Item number 4, our quarterly budget review. There are 3 recommendations there. Prepared to move those recommendations. Councillor Matthew Austin, seconded Councillor Knight. Sorry, I keep missing you, Councillor Edson. So take it up to you. Any comments there, councillors, or questions? Yes, Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The 318S 3138 road permits funds. I mentioned at the last quarterly review we had a $90,000 bonus at that point, so this is like 200 on top of that, I take it. I did ask at last meeting, that 90,000 could be quarantined. Because 200 also be used as the financial same purpose, same reason that we look at it later on in our budget session to see if we can specifically spend in a civic sense, then it might be beneficial to probably to look at the allocation to either Robertson Bridge or even to Bright Sable realignment. So for consideration at a budget meeting.
Mr. General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's all cash, and while it's a windfall from the budget, you will need to consider your cash position at the end of 30 June this year. So quarantining it can be a point, but you still need to have reserves of cash, unrestricted cash to operate. So I just ask you to consider that before you make a decision about that. You could also consider it in the upcoming financial workshops for next year. But essentially, it is all revenue cash. And in terms of the organisation expenditure, it's to meet through to the end of June, and the quarterly budget review process just reflects those changes. So, at the moment, you don't have a lot of unrestricted cash at the 30th of December. At the 30th of March, there'll be more revenue come in from the reasons we've explained in the past, where we've done the work before Christmas, but won't be paid for it until after Christmas. So perhaps the third quarter might be the way to have a look at it, or even just an interim position at one of the future financial workshops we do.
Thank you, Mr. Gentleman, for the answer. As long as we don't sort of tend to lose it, it is a bonus. We should treat it as a bonus and look at something specific to use with it for it. And that as long as it comes up in the budget session later on in the months, that we can consider any special purpose for it. But it's not as if it's unrestricted. It's not. Anyway, just my thoughts that we should be treating bonuses as something special and look at it and use it for something special.
Thank you.
Please. Thanks. Yes. So that's true, Mr. General Manager. There is some expenditure related to that, just to be clear, so that whole amount of of income is not I suppose problem with expenditure around provision, the right compounds and other things to a handover stage to council with administration around section 138 and different things, so that there is an expenditure component with that factor into our budget allocation. That being said, I need to follow John Murray's comments around the budget.
Any further questions, please, councillor? Yes, councillor Halliburton.
Page 35, with the rates and annual charges, the budget is 8512 and it didn't change. But it's got year to date at 8504, which I thought would be too much, considering we've got 2 more rate quarters to be paid. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. General Manager. The CFO.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Halliburton, we recognise our rates when we, at the start of the year, so that the full amount of rates has been recognised already.
So
that's not cash received, that's actually accrued income. At $8.5 million.
yeah.
It's accrued income, it's not actually cash received at this time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
in my ignorance, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, I thought that year to date was how much we had received year to date. But you know me with maths.
No, you make a good point. Perhaps I should have specified that in the report. That that's a good point. But that's how we recognise, and that's how all councils recognise their income is at the start of the year when they levy the full rates bill. I just in this report, there's probably a few fairly good wins, like we discussed the $950,000 extra in R2R income that's due to moving the programs forward from the excellent presentation from the Director of Technical Services. We've got the extra 200 in section 138 charges, as Councillor Carter alluded to. We've also got the $500,000 for French Street in there. We've got a quite a issue for that. And we've had savings of 500,000 for not having to do the bridge approaches for Ducker and Kemp Street, although about 150,000 of that still was 660,000 or 60. So they're the good news, and as we explained at December, we had at a point in time we've had a bit of a cash squeeze that we expect to be paid for a lot of works, and we've got rates to come in, which is the cash, and we've got financial assistance grants to come in. So we expect the cash position to improve over the next few months.
Thank you, Mr. Financial Officer.
So
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Howard.
just further to CFO's comments there. So what you'll see, the 8512, that's, thank you. The 8512 relates to, that's a budget item, and you'll see in the far column there, the 8504. So our budget is a little bit overestimated at the moment. Some of those numbers are done well in sort of March, April for each year. So it's just a little bit of an over estimate there of about $81,000 at the moment. That's not to say that we can't have some metrics come over in the next 6 months.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any further questions? If not, I'll.
Yes,
sorry, Councillor Carter.
Sorry, I noticed we've got to spend about 110,000 on the council house for earthworks and retaining walls. It just must have been a pretty expensive, excessive or expensive, large bill we had to do. It just seems very dear.
Thank you, Mr. Carter.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. A large portion of it is for 2 reasons. For that site cut, for excavation in rock. So there's a large increase for excavation in rock. There's a large increase for retaining perimeter, so the original tender had no retaining walls at the perimeter. We've added all the retaining walls on the full perimeter of the lot. But there's another couple of small ones in there too. So one's going to the garage to lower it, so it's better accessible from the street, and last one was some adjustments for inflation over the original tender and the actual delivery.
Thank you. Again, and the stormwater study costs $100,000. Wasn't that, isn't that fully funded? That's drought flood study.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you, Jerry. That is fully funded. So that both the income and expenditure are in the financial statements. So the CFO to clarify where they sit, but they're both the income and expenditure in there. This is an adjustment to balance them, so both were recorded.
And mentioning there you'd be saving 30 odd grand, then we're not putting you the pool blankets, but isn't it just might be saving now, but is it going to be more expensive later on to buy?
Who's taking that on place of religion? They might be cheaper as well, I guess, through you, Mr. Mayor, but the pool blankets don't need replacing, so we're not going to replace it. So we plan to replace them every 2 or 3 years, but if they don't need replacing, we wait another year and see what happens.
So it's not that they're not going on with it, it's just they're not being replaced.
That's, yeah, through Smith, that's correct. I think we would also put a better product. Pool blankets today compared to what we've had in the past, they're simply holding together. And some of the pool blankets have been cut in a different manner as well, so it's simply holding together.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Clinton.
2 questions on the utility home. How much longer before it's likely to be finished? And will we be in a position to be given a total cost when that occurs, please?
What's this for? The executive.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thanks, Mr.
Thanks.
General Manager. The deadline we have at the moment is mid-March for that delivery. But it's probably an atypical construction style because a lot of the house actually building modules that we onto site. And so it brought fully constructed onto site. So that deadline's not unachievable. And then we certainly can detail the cost if the completion would be an issue.
So just through you, Mr. Mayor, the total cost we're expecting is the original tender price, which was 680 or 650, 680 plus this variation of 110. So that's 790 at the moment. Yep.
A lot of money for a house.
It's an executive, yes.
I commented that.
So, thank you, General Manager. That is reflecting on the price, and certainly that's an understated price for the quality product that we get, all the scale of product that we're getting. You pay that for that house.
Thank you. Any further councillors? If not, we've got a mover and seconder. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Item 5 is the delivery program and operational plan half-yearly progress report. There's a recommendation there. Please, councillors, head and move that way. Councillor Erasmus, thank you, and Councillor Knight. I must say I was most impressed with the report. It's been put together very well, very clear, and not much red. It's marvellous to see. Any questions or contributions there, councillors?
One, Mr. Mayor,
Thank you, Councillor Carter.
page 51. You've got a picture of the Ironbung Road. It's referred to in the report as being heavily updated, heavy patches work in it. I just looking at that road, Ironbung Road, and I just questioned whether it actually is that and whether it isn't actually Graben Road. Picture, but there's a lot of things in the report that again find big inconsistencies in it. So I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carter.
So through you, Mr Mayor, I've noticed you challenge us sometimes on these sorts of things. So I did ask whether that was on Bung Road, and the reply was yes. But if it's not, of course, we can sort it out from.
Just in reply to that, out the Ironbung Road recently, and there's, as far as my memory recall, there's only 2 patches which have been heavy patched there. Only a matter of probably 50 metres one, probably a couple of metres in the other one. So, don't recall any Ironbung Road looking like that in that topographical.
We can get it swatched out if that appears, if that's the correct process to do.
Take that on note then. Thank you. Anything further, councillors? Yes, Councillor Halliburton.
No, Councillor Knight just before me. Probably going on with regards to Lorrydale and oval drainage. That's a project that's been in place for nearly 5-6 years as a possibility. So it was actually really great to see that hasn't made it into the report and is at completion. And after the sports committee meeting last Thursday, there are some very, very, very happy community members out of the Lorrydale, the oval space, who use it regularly.
Very nice to hear. Thank you, Councillor Knight. Councillor Halliburton.
I had a few concerns with the report. However, I'd just like to highlight page 79. And I feel as well, you know me, that's where we need an education program for waste, and we certainly do need a new program, education program for waste. It was on page 79. Page 80, has the H.L. Robinson Bridge been upgraded?
Second that.
Yes,
Yes, Mr. Target.
thanks, Mr. The H.R. Robinson Bridge works are probably 90% complete, about 2 weeks.
That's excellent news. Thank you. And page 84 and 85, on page 84 you had scheduled for the next reporting period and it was green. And then on page 85 you had scheduled for the next reporting period and it was orange. I would suggest that page 84 should have been orange as well, because if it hasn't been achieved, well then, I mean, there's inconsistencies.
We can give you a reason for that, councillor. So the orange one is because the volunteer program is at risk of being delivered within the next reporting period. That's why it's orange, because it's quite an extensive program to try and deliver. There's been some work from staff to try and implement that, whereas the other one, which was green, scheduled for the next reporting period, it can be delivered in the next reporting period, and that's why it's green.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyway, I'll leave my comments there, but there were a few other concerns I had, but that's the main ones.
Thank you, Councillor Halliburton. Anything further, councillors? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Hands, please. Yes. Against? None against. So 2 against. You want that recorded, please, Councillor Carter?
Please.
Councillor Halliburton. That the motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. And next item is item 6, the development application for Stanya Road. Just wait until Councillor Iving leaves the room. She has. Thank you. Moving that way, Councillor Halliburton and Councillor Bridget Austin. Any comments or discussion, councillors? Oh, sorry, yes, councillor Knight.
I noticed we have one of the council people in the room to speak to it. Is that the case?
If you can be, if you've got a question to.
Well, no, I don't, but I'm just, because it is such a large variation. If there was an explanation behind it as well as what's actually in there, I would suggest I'd like to hear it now. Does that make sense?
Rowan, sorry, through you, Mr. General Manager. Rowan, can you give us some sort of explanation as to the variations and the approval? Thank you.
Through you. So the DCP sets out two controls in relation to this sort of development. The first is a distance from an adjoining dwelling, and the second part of that control is a distance from a property boundary. In this case, the development meets that first criteria, in which the distance from the adjoining dwellings is met or exceeded quite significantly, but it's the second portion of that where it doesn't meet the distance from the property boundary that is being requested. Now, the overall impact, I guess you would say, in terms of the control is quite minimal in varying that. If you approve the variation to the property boundary, there's no real risk of any adverse impacts happening at the site in this location. It may not be so in other locations, but in my opinion, in this location, I think variation is justified.
And the picture, I think, just articulates that pretty well. The shorter line is to the road, which is the front boundary, essentially. And there are no other dwellings.
I think the closest one is 750 metres to the west.
And it was a very comprehensive report.
Yes.
It was. Thank you, councillor Knight. Is it answer you all?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Carter, please.
Just like to add that all the DAs we've had over the last few years dealing with dogs, it has been probably one of the most easiest ones we've put together.
Quite right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much that.
So there's nothing further, councillors. And thank you for those comments, Rowan. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Any against? Motion's carried. Unanimous. I don't see hands. Sorry. Council Austin and Council Knight, it's not correct.
Mute.
Councillor and Councillor Richard Austin.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 7, section 7.12 development contributions plan 2026.
Oh.
That way, councillor Halliburton.
Sorry. Not against it, I was going to move it, that was all. Sorry, Mr.
All
Mayor.
right, we can, if there's somebody else prepared to move it, talk to councillor Matthew Austin moving that way. Someone second that, please. Councillor Erasmus. Thank you. Questions or comments? Thank you. Councillor Halliburton, you can have.
No, I've got no questions.
Okay.
Councillor Carter does, I think.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just a quick. I tried to find the previous development draft plan on our policy section, but couldn't find it anywhere. What is the major change between the current and this one? That's what I was trying to find.
Dear Mr. Mayor, thanks for your question. Some of the changes relate primarily to drafting various sections. That's it. Sorry about that. Some of the changes relate to revised regulations, sections of past editions, whatever else have been adjusted. some of the other changes sort of relate to front page number 4, so just bear with me, please. If you prefer to page 166, I can sort of talk to that page there. A couple of things we've done on that page there in terms of the worksheet, we've tried to incorporate some flexibility in the table itself. So I'm happy to provide the previous copy to you, but one of the things we've sort of outlined there is in the open space and recreation. Instead of narrowing down to a junior caravan park, we've actually narrowed it, we've sort of broadened it to junior recreation precinct upgrades. So we're not narrowing ourselves too little for a small area in terms of that precinct. Another factor, another area that has been changed is the civil infrastructure. So in the previous plan, we would have detailed curb and gutter and stormwater improvements. So what we're trying to do there is again broaden what civil infrastructure that policy here can be sort of applied to. There's a definition part on page 164. So we do have a definition there, infrastructure activation, where we talk about includes extending or upgrading local infrastructure, the support development, which may include curb and gutter, stormwater drainage and other sort of roadworks. So they're the sub little changes that we've got in the policy this time around when compared to the last ones.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you. Nobody wishes to add to that, Rob? Oh, sorry, Councillor Riley, please.
Adding, I've just got another question. So in the contributions plan, can you tell me where the solar and this industrial plants actually fit?
Is that for new development? Are you talking about
Yeah,
new
new
development?
development.
If that development is, Rowan, that is over, if that development application comes in and it's over a specific amount, 1% of the value of that work, so if it's $1 million development, $10,000 is levied as 1%, and that goes into this fund. So it covers all development. Rowan, you'll be able to express the types of development it covers.
Yeah. Sorry, Councillor Hiding. What you're looking at there, I believe is this estimated cost of development by floor area guide. So this is the table that we use as staff to determine whether or not applicants are giving a genuine estimated cost of their development. So we use this as a baseline. So it's a bit of a ballpark figure for us to basically see, are they giving us the right figure that we're going to calculate their contributions on? So if they come to us and they tell us that they're going to build their house for $100,000, and our guide says, well, it's probably more likely to be $600,000, we can ask them to go back and sort of more detailed costs.
Thank you.
Excuse me, what would be the effect on our budget if we didn't put these prices up and left them at their present levels? How much money is this expected to raise over what we raised on previous numbers over the last 5 years or so?
It's a good question, but
Thanks for the question. Yeah, it's a very difficult question to answer. These are estimates based on the value of the total development value across previous years. As you know, we aren't in control of what comes through the door in terms of development applications. So these numbers do ebb and flow, and they've ebbed and flowed in the last 2 years with a downward pressure on the total value because we haven't had as many development applications as in previous years. But this is not a budget. This is what we expect to come through the door. The council determine the expenditure of this levy at their annual budgeting cycle, and these numbers if you just provide a rough guide on how they're to be spent. So can't answer this question specifically. It's just too, if we don't know the answer, and it would be too difficult to calculate, to be honest, because we're always looking forward in terms of our projections rather than backwards. We could do some work based on what we've received in previous years, but it doesn't have doesn't have a perfect relationship with what's expected to be received in future years. So one of the items that I think you recall, we're anticipating a development coming in for a battery at one of the solar farms or solar fields in the agricultural area. And I think the contribution from that is $200,000, just one development. So, you know, we won't get a lot of those, obviously, but that's factored into these assumptions, I'm thinking. Yeah.
So if someone comes in and we've already been told we're building a $790,000 house, if someone comes in and builds $1 million house, we're carving 10 or 1% of that off.
That's pretty much as it works. If someone on their application puts the value of their house down at $1 million, the levy will be $10,000. And assuming it's the right square metres, and on that table in the back of the plan, it's calculated out to be $800,000. Well, you know, we can't control the gold taps that they're going to put in there, you know, so that might have been $1 million. So I guess, you know, that's just the way it is. The contract, the builder will issue a contract to build a house.
Yeah.
They might have a higher profit margin in it, who knows, but that's generally what comes through. Owner builders tend to take some liberties and try and lower the cost of the value, and that's where the staff step in and say, hang on a minute, that shed is not worth $5,000, it's worth $50,000. That's the way it works.
We'll have 10 of them at $5,000.
Yeah.
Any further questions, councillors or comments? In that way, I will put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Moved. Unanimously. All right, item 8 is the 150th Junior Railway Anniversary in 2028. You're moving that way, Councillor Howard?
Yes, I am.
And Councillor Atkins, please. Thank you. Any comments, please, councillors? What do you think that? Yes, Councillor Atkins.
Firstly, can I congratulate young Lockie McNamara on his well-worded letter, and as a young train enthusiast, it really comes out. And Lockie's very passionate about anything connected to the railway. But as a position in terms of the item, I support it wholeheartedly. You know, Journey's backbone has been railway, and I think, as stated in the business paper, yes, our appetite is quite high, and it's in terms of community-focused events and a lot of social capital building with events and future plans, and I would be happy to support and assist in terms of the subcommittee that was the recommendation. So, and I suppose at this point too, thank you to the Roundhouse Museum and its volunteers for keeping the history alive within the town. So, thank you for allowing me to answer that comment.
Thank you.
I'd like to second and third Councillor Asmus's comments, and I too would be very interested to go on the committee as a councillor.
Okay. I don't think we should need to do that tonight. I think as the report indicated that the planning cycle sort of begins on 1 July 2026. So I think we'll be calling for expressions of interest from community members and councillors before that time. Yes,
just one comment, and there are individuals in the room that were previously part of Rhythm and Rail, etc. I think it's important and this is just a comment in terms for the committee in future. I think it's important for the committee to be the one that is in control of the train, if there is a train that is part of these celebrations. I think when things like this become, separated within and it's out of the committee's control, I think it's difficult for things to work in harmony together. So purely just a suggestion for that future subcommittee, but
Mr Mayor, I agree with councillor Christmas and councillors. Good comment.
Any further comments or? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, oh, sorry, councillor Austin.
I was just going to add my voice to that of support. I think Lachlan's got a lot of energy and he has a lot of energy and that's good to see.
Yeah. I'll get back to him and mention that to him. All those in favour, please, councillors. Against? Unanimously once again. General Manager. Okay, our item 9 is the flood fair. Flood fair. Yes, flood modelling endorsements. Presume there's some recommendations there, General Manager, that our new program has decided to leave me. So there are 3 recommendations there, councillors. Anybody prepared to move those recommendations, please?
I'm thankful for the sake of debate.
All right, councillor Atlas is moving that way. Second, please, councillor Whiting is second to that. Comments then, please, councillors. I expect lots.
What's relevant legal?
No. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
If Mr Mayor had any comment to say that, thank, I did it and presented us with this bit of work. It was, what's written in the report is very, eye-floating reading. So please. Any flood modelling work on, but until we actually get the event at the point of impact, we won't know if it works or not. So yes, we can probably accept the report and accept the variations, but we'll just wait and see when it rains. See what happens. See if it'll be changed.
Indeed.
I hope it's within 10 years of the annual report.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Don't get me wrong, there's certainly a lot of modelling and assumptions in those models. I guess from council's perspective, there'll be impacts in the road reserve and we want to have a clear mitigation for those impacts in the road reserve. And I guess there's been a lot of work over the last few weeks, but even over the last year to try and get clarity around what those mitigations are. And that scope of works around the time in front of you, that's really the clearest mitigation in the road reserves that we've got today. So I guess on that basis,
Yeah, that sort of modelling depends on the gods, in my opinion. But anyway, yes, councillor Rouse.
Through you, Mr Mayor, as a late engineer, my skills are Lego related. Do they meet those, I suppose, talking there a moment ago? Are you happy with that outcome for those road reserves?
yeah, through you, Mr. Thanks, Mr. Rowan. Definitely, these are these are standard treatments that meet standard requirements, and they're all, from a technical perspective, they're all adequate for the flow, the velocity. So you've got velocity coming in water going up on the inlets and velocity flows increase on the outlet. You treat velocity flow on the outlet is a rock mattress which is proposed, and that rock mattress is proportionate to the diameter of the columns. So that matches Australian standard, and there's rock armor in the inlet. So we've got the Australian standard outcome for mitigation for drainage increases. I guess the 750 page report that backs up this document, it's a flood modelling report which presented to the Jsc Council Meeting, and that 750 pages basically detail how they got to these height changes, these velocity changes. So there's a lot of groundwork that's gone into it. We have come to standard. We haven't really gone further than that.
Councillor Rasmus is, we wouldn't be getting to this point if the engineering department wasn't like that. What we were going to achieve. Also, pointed to that there's modelling. Statistics, and we'll just wait and see the outcome.
Right, councillors, thank you. I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Against? Unanimous against. Now, manager. Got no correspondence to look at, and council committee reports. I think we had none there, but there is the Reebok report.
Should be in the business paper.
Yes, yeah, should, yeah.
If that's the December meeting.
Yes. Sometime, yeah, yes, councillor Miller.
Just in the delegates report, can I give you a verbal one on the sports committee meeting last Thursday evening?
You certainly may.
Council was represented by over 7 people at that meeting, staff as well as councillors, and it was actually incredibly productive from the perspective of awareness raising, both of the people from the different organisations that came to it, and also for the councillors that attended. And I'll refer back the amount of praise that it is possible to offer our engineering department with regards to the drainage on Laurie Daly Oval problem finally being resolved was high in praise. Out of that meeting as well, we actually visited the tennis courts as well, and then had an evening meal later, which had a lot of other things happening. But there were 2 new sports that hadn't had representatives at that meeting for some time. And what those representatives walked away with was massive. Just the knowledge that if they had issues, there was for it. And for whatever reasons, their particular sports hadn't been representing themselves there for some time. Lloyd was able to follow up with some emails back to the sports committee that actually mentioned some of the grant things that are available, but really, really productive, as in just the positive spaces that came out of it for the people and the community space as well. So thank you to council as having an initiative of having a sporting committee, and the 2 newer ones that came on board that night went away with their heads spinning about what was possible if they actually had a representative at the meeting.
So through you, Mr. Mayor,
Thank you,
it's
councillor.
meant for soccer.
It was.
Councillor
I
Hamilton.
have a delegates report, a verbal one, if I may. I went to the inland rail meeting in Albury to Ilbo a week or 2 ago. Basically, they're very happy with everything that's going along. They're stockpiling, they're moving things, they're doing things. We have all seen that with the Head Street Ridge, how that is really coming along. If you have a concern with an intersection, for example, Edgar and George Streets, they suggested that we ring the 1-800 number and ask them and tell them that we're not happy with it. And if a number of us ring, well, perhaps they might do something about it. And then you all know that the 1-800 number is displayed all around town. Now, there were 2 possessions coming up. The first one is the 28th of February and the 1st of March. That's just for 2 days. And one of the main things they're going to do is really get going with the drive change platform. And as I drive down Main Street a fair bit, I see that they've already started a lot of work on that. And the next one is May the 2nd to the 5th. And that will be for 96 hours. So that's very positive to see it's all going well.
That's the next possession. That's the next possession.
The next one's in February.
It's in the 28th of February, the 1st of March, just for 2 days, which they've been able to get because, as you know, we usually only have 2 possessions a year. And then they're having one on the May the 2nd to the 5th for 96 hours. So that's good to see that everything's moving ahead. Sorry, Councillor Rosis.
No, that's okay, Councillor Elder. I was going to say 3 minutes a minute. Councillor Elder, in terms of the driver changeover, was there any commitment to say that it will be completed at this possession?
It said of my notes,
That's okay.
Councillor Rosis say private change construction to start planned for the February possession. I don't know what about the one down JE 70.
No, yeah,
That's okay.
Probably not much of a concern in terms of
The JE 11, which signal, which is opposite the Baptist Church. But actually, I think the driver change station is going to be further north. That's where that's where I see all of the, there's a lot of work going on.
Yeah, that's okay. I just have a lot of issues with a particular operator that does 10-minute changeovers at the platform. A lot of time that crossing is blocked, and I actually parked behind the New South Wales fire truck at the crossing the other night while there was a train, and they were actually going to an incident at Cummins Street. So
through you, Mr. Mayor, I've noticed that some train companies are already changing drivers in Main Street.
That's happened from time to time. And we're probably not supposed to from a work health and safety point of view,
Well,
but
we won't talk about that, but they seem to be quite healthy and working safely and working safely to me when we're driving past.
and any excuse against the train behind.
And then Mr. Councillor Clinton will add to, we've had 2 meetings with the Seniors Week committee. The second one was this morning. It's going to be a 2-week event, starting on Sunday, the March the 1st, and concluding Sunday, March the 15th. There's lots of different activities planned.
Yes, lots.
And the colouring in competition, of course, we've made it a bit simpler so the elderly people don't have to colour in quite so many little flowers. And the bus trip is to Whitton on Tuesday, March the 10th for $50. And I'll email you the details.
thank you.
Because I'm going on.
Councillor Clinton.
Look, just follow up on the senior citizens thing. It's almost ironic the 2 oldest councillors are the ones that attend that function. And I just think that we are very fortunate in the way these meetings are being run by our full cycle
Sanitarians
sanitary
and the headland.
and they are really good advocates at running, really competent at doing something like that. And I would like us as a council, in particular, that we acknowledge them or say well done and please carry on, because I think they're doing a fantastic job. And the programs will be out next week, multicolour. And I think that it's a lot of
And we'll go back for a start. Sam's just
very nice
returned
to
back
come
to be physically at work.
So I'll pass it back. Sorry. Right.
Oh, and by the way, the ill-about stopping being training thing, well, I suppose I can sum it up and say they're going to do what they want to do, when they do it, how they're going to do it. But they spent a lot of time telling us how they were going very sort of delicately around moving artifacts and chopping down trees. We learned a lot about how you have to tap the trees to see if there are any animals inside them. So I thought it was fascinating.
Yes, and we have commissioners as well. Very important, sorry.
The general manager would agree with me.
No, there you go.
That's it, Mr. Mayor, you described the environment is friendly.
Well, that's good to hear.
Very common.
All right, thank you,
So
councillor.
they're going to do what they want to do anyway.
Yeah, all right. I've missed a motion there too, please, councillors. Someone might move that we receive the REROC report. Thank you, councillor Hasmans, and second, councillor Knight. All those in favour? Against? None against. Thank you. Questions on notice from councillor Clinton? You've got your reply there.
Am I allowed to make that comment about?
Well, we don't normally, councillor Clinton.
It's to do with the grammar. And it's in the last line, it says, for private public works, and that it should be much
Yes,
longer.
I see that line's been, shouldn't.
It should be much longer.
Changed.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Much longer is.
Clarification question, you know when the board meeting is going to be?
We'll have to take it from notice and get back to you. Absolutely. Right. With that, councillors, could I have someone move that we move into confidential, please? Councillor Richard Austin and councillor Hiding. Matters within items 13 to 15 are considered to be confidential. Ready to go?
Yep.
Okay. Could I please have someone move us out of confidential, Councillor Matthew Austin and Councillor Asmus. Recording equipment is back on. Someone to adopt, oh, sorry, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Someone prepared to move, we adopt the resolutions of the closed committee. Councillor Knight and Councillor Bridget. All those in favour? Any against? That's unanimous. Now, Mr. General Manager, your turn. If you can read the resolutions and confidential items, please.
Through Mr Mayor, item 10, solar plan, resolution 1, that council set a non-negotiable selling price for the following lots. Lot 21 DP 1317143 Golf Avenue at $205,000 GST exclusive. Lot 22 DP 1317143 Golf Avenue at $205,000 GST inclusive. Proposed lot 1 in lot 1 section 8 DP 10922 Boundary Street, Junee at $222,000 GST inclusive. Proposed lot 2 in lot 1 section 8 DP 10922 Boundary Street, Junee at $212,000 GST inclusive, and proposed lot 17 in lot 1 section 8 DP 10922 Boundary Street, Junee at $192,000 GST inclusive. Recommendation 2, that council authorise the fixing of council seals to relevant documents in relation to the sale of the property and conveyancing matters listed in recommendation 1. Recommendation 3, that the General Manager be delegated to prepare and execute conveyancing and contractual documents to enable the sale of the residential land in recommendation 1. And the final recommendation, recommendation 4, that the local real estate agents of Remax and Ray White be appointed to market the land for sale listed in recommendation 1. Then moving on to item 11 in the business paper, acquisition of land from the Anglican parish of Junee. Recommendation 1, that council note the previous discussions with the Anglican Church around lot 85 DP 751406 have resulted in council identifying that lot 86 DP 751406 is also owned by the Anglican Church, contrary to council's records, and has road encroaching over the land. Recommendation 2, that council authorise the acquisition of the full lot 86 DP 751406 from the Anglican parish of Junee for the sum of $4,000. Recommendation 3, council endorse the seal to be affixed to the deposit plan of subdivision and title creation for lot 86 DP 751406 into 2 parcels, including 936.8 square metres of road reserve and 1,050 square metres of RU1 land, including public consultation as per the Roads Act 1993, section 38B. And the final recommendation, recommendation 4, council gazette the road opening on the parcel of land in accordance with the Roads Act 1993 and dedication of the land as operational land under the Local Government Act 1993, section 33, to be formalised by published notice in the Government Gazette.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager, and thank you, councillors. That's all for this evening, and thank you for your attendance. You can turn that all off. Yeah.